Welcome back to High School Athlete Nutrition Podcast. I am Katie and Stephanie is here with me today, and we are going to be talking about back to school fueling tips. I can't believe that school is already getting ready to start back in a few weeks here. We want to help make sure that as you go back to school, your fueling strategy is on point and you are ready to tackle the transition. Yeah. So, Steph, why don't you start us with why does this even matter?
Gosh, what a good question. It's everything, right? When you think about school, like your schedule is different. You're sitting all day, you're focused all day, you're burning brain fuel. And I think a big thing is you're a student athlete, then athlete. So you have to have the brain intention and brain ability to concentrate in class. And that's a big part. If you're hungry, Katie and I talk about being hangry all the time. Like if you're hangry, you can't focus. Like that Snickers commercial, like have a Snickers, have a snack. Like you're not yourself when you're hungry. Spot on for athletes. That's why I keep snacks in my office. Cause I'm like, you're hungry, eat something and then we'll continue talking. But it's hard. It's really hard, but it's super important just for your focus and concentration, reducing your injury risk, making sure your bones have what they need, your muscles are ready. It helps reduce cramps, supports your overall training load, recovery after training. I mean, I could keep going. There's just so many reasons why fueling and having a strategy as you head back to school is so key and so important.
Yes, all of that. And I also even think I want to hit on the fact of how many athletes are leaving their house at like 6:30 or 7 and then not getting home until 6:30 or 7. So this is way different than even being an adult, right? I have access to a car that I could theoretically go drive myself and get something from a gas station. I have access to a refrigerator, to a microwave, to a way to like warm things up. And so I think about the fact that we have to be so much more creative, so much more intentional because of how long you're gone for and what you have access to. And neither one of those things make it easy.
You like the access and the barriers to your ability to eat as a high school athlete are really challenging, especially post-COVID. I don't know if we've talked about the switch before, but where students used to be able to snack in class or in the hallway between class. Now it's like no snacking, or, really being strict on what they're allowed to eat or the timing of what they're being able to eat, the timing of lunchtime. There's a lot of barriers that make it really, really hard to fuel during school. It just is what it is. It's hard.
Yeah, there is no other way to say it other than it is hard, point blank. And so I really think that when it comes to those barriers, it's starting the conversation with what do we have control over? And I even think too about ADHD and our kids that are on ADHD medications. And that also can add a whole new barrier to it. But what made me think about that thought is breakfast. And breakfast is something that we have control over. Yeah, you might wake up and not be hungry, but also it is a time of the morning where you could eat something hearty to have energy for first, second, third period.
Mm-hmm.
And also for our athletes that are taking medications that are going to make them feel not hungry, this is a time of day where you can get food in before that medication kicks in.
What a good point. I think breakfast is key. Big complaints I see, like I'm not a morning person. I don't like breakfast foods. Those tend to be the big ones, or time. They just have time because they're waking up and either waking up right before they have to go or they just leave so early in the morning. It's hard.
Yeah. So what are your favorite go-to quick breakfast?
Yeah. I do it in phases. So if you're an athlete who's like, I can't eat breakfast, I'm not hungry in the morning, first I'm going to say fueling's not optional. Just like breathing and going to the bathroom, your body needs fuel. So you must do those things. So start small. Get your body just used to eating in the morning. Start with just a banana or just a small granola bar or just a handful of cereal for a week or two. Just get in the habit of eating. And if you're listening to this over the summer, now is the time to start that and start practicing and training your gut to eat more in the morning and then level up. Then maybe next week it's a cheese stick and a banana or a bowl of cereal. You're just leveling up a little bit until you're in that proper breakfast zone where you have a lot of carbs, a good amount of protein, some color, and a little bit of fat. But you're just working your way up there. You've got to get your gut used to fueling in the morning, just like you got your gut used to having that pre-training snack and eating during training. Same concept. You just have to get used to it. But I hear all the time, like, I just can't eat. And you're like, It's not an option. We have to get it in. So let's figure out how we can be strategic here. And then once you really level up, like I love a yogurt bowl, super easy. You
Hmm.
can make it the night before. So I always say, like, get your favorite yogurt, put frozen fruit on top, put it in the fridge. And then the next morning, take it out, put some sliced nuts or granola, a drizzle of like almond butter or peanut butter on there, and boom, you have a 3-minute breakfast. Overnight oats can't be any faster. You make before, and there's no prep in the morning, or even just something as simple as like a bagel with peanut butter and turkey sausage or a sausage on the side.
Yeah.
Let's just get something in really quick,
Hmm.
really easy.
I like to talk to my high school athletes a lot about like also, are there things that you can grab? And if you're getting to school early, can you sit in your car and eat it in the car while you're waiting to go in? Like that might give you an extra 15 or 20 minutes to kind of wake up a little bit. That now you're having it right before school starts rather than having it as soon as you wake up.
Mm,
So I'm thinking doing a granola bar or a protein bar with a glass of milk and a piece of fruit, right? Like you could get the individual Fairlife milks or like the Horizon, those are good as well. And taking those in the car with you. Now, if you're not driving, also you can eat while your parents drive or eat while a friend drives you to school. And same problem solved right there.
yeah, I love it. Another recommendation there would be a smoothie. You can make a
Yes.
smoothie. You can power pack a smoothie with yogurt. You can put oatmeal in a smoothie, bananas, like peanut butter, protein powder if you want. You can really pack a smoothie with a lot of great things and take it to go.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, that's a good tip. That's a really good tip. It's just if as an athlete you're going to class and you need focus, breakfast is not optional. Like you haven't eaten since the night before and your body used all that fuel to rebuild and repair from your trainings the day before. So you need brain fuel in the morning.
Yeah. And I think we also have to remember, like, just as a human being, so even when you're not an athlete, even as humans, we still need something in the morning to get our brain going so that we can concentrate to do our job.
Yeah.
But your job is going to school. And so you need that concentration for school. And then you need that concentration to still go into your training after school.
Yeah. Good point.
So it's not just breakfast. Like we can't just stop there, right? We have to be fueled every few hours. And as an athlete, we're looking at needing to be fueled every 2 to 4 hours. For some, we're going to have snacks in the morning or in between breakfast and lunch. So let's start with morning snacks. Do you find that many of your athletes are having morning snacks?
Depends on when lunch is. Here in Virginia, we have 4 blocks. So, like, I grew up in New York. We do 9 periods during the day for school. In
Okay.
high school, they do 4 blocks here. And so it depends. Like, you could get the 10:15 lunch, and you had, or you could get the 1 o'clock lunch.
Yes.
They like break each block down to 3 parts. It's honestly, very confusing to me too. And so it just depends on the time. So typically, like, as you kind of hinted at this before, but if they have an early breakfast, I say or early lunch, which is essentially brunch, you need to have at least a snack or two in the afternoon. Like if lunch is at 10, you probably need a noon and a 2 o'clock snack. And if lunch is at 1, you probably need a snack, maybe 2 in the morning, like maybe a 10 and a 12 if you're really hungry, or at least an 11 and maybe one after lunch before practice. It just depends on that lunch time, but typically I recommend at least 1 or 2 snacks during school.
Yeah. Agreed. What would be your favorite to grab and take with you?
I love a granola bar. They're pretty simple. And I typically, like, clients will say, oh, I don't want to be messy or I don't want to. So I get a soft one. Like I love a Z bar. They're quiet to open, quiet to eat, quiet to chew. Where if you have one of those, like, we all know these bars, the Nature Valley ones, it's 2 in a pack. They are crunchy. They make a mess everywhere when you crunch. Like everybody knows that bar. They're delicious, but probably not ideal for class. I also love like a pouch. Sometimes I'll recommend athletes that will freeze a yogurt pouch the night before and then put it in their backpack and then defrost during the day and doesn't get warm. And then they can do a quick yogurt pouch for like a morning snack, or even just like an applesauce pouch and a cheese stick, something simple. It's just really strategy and figuring out like what class are they in the morning too. Like if it's a science class, like you're probably not going to eat just for safety in that class. But if it's a math class or an English, depending on the teacher and the school rule, you might be able to have a snack at the very beginning class or very end of class.
Yeah, for sure. Are there certain nutrients that you really recommend hitting on when we're talking about like a morning snack or that like 12 o'clock snack?
Yeah, I try to pair just 2 components together. So, for example, like a carb and a protein or a carb and a fat, you're just getting 2 components together, specifically looking at a protein and a fat because that slows down digestion and helps you feel a little bit more full. Carbs, that quick energy, which you need, But you want to pair it with a protein or fat so that it just slows down digestion so you're not hungry 10 minutes later. You have some of that satiety so you can actually focus in class, which was the point of that snack, and then you can roll into lunch.
Okay, roll into lunch. Let's roll into lunch. So, as we're thinking about going back to school, and we've had a lot of athletes that have been making their own maybe quesadillas or things that have been warm at home for lunch over the summer. Now we may very well be going back to cold lunches again. I know a lot of my athletes either don't have access to a microwave, don't have time to stand in line for the microwave, or the microwave looks disgusting, so they don't want to use it. So we do a lot of cold lunches. So I think to start with, in a lunch, like what are we looking for? Like what are the main components? And then let's talk about like how do we make that work?
Yeah, going back to the plate method that we talk about all the time. So no matter what the plate, whether it's an easy training plate for rest days, moderate for like 1 hour practice days, or the hard training plate for 2 hour practice days or game days, you still want all four components. So we're thinking about protein to help build muscle. We're thinking about carbohydrates for energy. We're looking at fruits and vegetables to add antioxidants and fiber. And lastly, fats to make sure that you're adding in that endurance fuel and helping to support, to make sure you're nourished and you have energy, but you're not hungry right away. So really having all four components is really, really important. And the quantity is going to just depend on how intense is training or how long is training. Most of you are going to be baseline, that moderate training plate. So a third protein, a third color, a third carb. So I honestly love to recommend athlete Lunchable, like making a homemade Lunchable, because the Lunchables in the store are not big enough for athletes. Like we need to level those up. So really thinking about, you could do like turkey and cheese roll-ups or roast beef and cheese roll-ups or ham and cheese roll-ups with sliced pita bread, hummus, or pretzels. And you could do some sliced veggies, maybe some peanut butter on the side to dip your pretzels in, adding color like a berry, just really whatever you want to put in your bento box or your box. There's so many different options. You do drinkable yogurt on the side or a chocolate milk on the side. I love these because they take 5 minutes to make. You can just rummage through the drawers, see what you have, and then roll. And it can be different every day. And you can even prep these. You can make 2 or 3 at a time and then just add like the crackers and the pretzels and the pita that morning so they don't get soggy in the fridge.
I love that. I like to do like a mix up on sandwiches. So when I think about sandwiches, I kind of break it down into different components and ways to kind of mix it up. So we've got our bread or the outside source. We have the meat or the bulk of it, and then we have like the toppings or the condiments that go with it. And so the ability to kind of mix up all of those at different times. So is it doing a bagel sandwich or Hawaiian rolls instead of just doing your normal traditional bread? Is it mixing up the filler and doing chicken salad or tuna salad instead of just doing a normal turkey?
Mhm.
Or then is it changing up the condiment and doing like a avocado ranch instead of mayo? And so this now takes your turkey and cheese and gives you 9 different options in mixing up a sandwich. But also, I think it's important to remember that a sandwich isn't a meal. That is not the only item. So we need to still be having at least 2, if not 3 items on the side of that sandwich.
Yeah.
So that's when having pretzels and hummus and fruit come in. That would be a good addition to that sandwich as well.
Question back to you. What do you say to athletes who say they don't have time to eat all that? Like a bagel sandwich. I love recommending athletes level up to a bagel sandwich, like a sub roll when they're trying to, like when they have long practices or trying to restore their menstrual cycle or just for whatever the reason the carbs need to be there. But sometimes time is limited. So how do you recommend if they're going to choose sides or they're going to do something, like how do they be strategic about leveling up fuel?
Yeah, I think it now becomes, okay, what are some easy sides to get in? Can we do an applesauce pouch where you are just like downing that quickly rather than a salad that takes 15 chews per bite that you take? So, if your sandwich is going to take you a little bit longer to eat, then can we pair in sides, or like goldfish are pretty quick to eat, where you can do like more in a bite than just like one individual goldfish. The other conversation I have with my athletes then becomes, okay, well, if you can't eat it all, can we talk to your teacher? And can you finish your lunch in that period after you get back? Can we be purposeful on what we're eating during lunch and then finishing it during that?
Yeah. That's something I recommend athletes. If you're listening to this over the summer or in the future over a break, practice eating your lunch in the time, like the week or 2 before you go back to school, in a allotted time. It doesn't have to be at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever lunch is, but if you only have 22 minutes try to eat your lunch in that amount of time and see what's possible.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
It's hard.
Yeah. And then we all wonder as adults why we eat so fast.
Right. Yeah. I have one athlete who like really struggles. I'm like, well, what's going on? And you talk through, like you get there, you have to find a seat. If you have to wait online for lunch, like school lunch, that takes up
Mhm.
some time. And then of course you're with your friends and you want to gossip and catch up on like what's new and what's been going on with them. And so like that's some time too. So it's hard to do it all, but prioritizing fuel is really important.
Also, we haven't even talked about school lunches. So,
No.
but one of the things that I feel like is that our school lunches don't make enough food for an athlete.
They always. I was working with a group of local athletic trainers a week or two ago doing a presentation. That's one of the questions they asked me, like, how do you recommend athletes fuel who are eating the school lunch for whatever reason? And I'm like, if you can, ask for extra scoops, ask for extra portions. And there's one school locally does a beautiful job. They have like an I don't want bin. I can't remember what they
Yes.
specifically call it, but basically like if
Like a
someone
share
doesn't want
table.
their yeah. They don't want their milk or their fruit or their side or whatever. They can put it, as long as it's like packaged, they can put it in that bin. And then anyone who wants it, whether they're an athlete or maybe they don't have access to food after school, they need some snacks for home or whatever the reason, they can go in there and get extra fuel. I just thought that was a brilliant way to reduce food waste, but help others who need that extra fuel. So if your school doesn't have it, maybe make the recommendation, your PTA, your parent teacher association, and see if that's something you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think too, it's remembering though that you may not enjoy all of it that you're eating. I don't think we can sit here and pretend like school food is the best thing we've ever eaten. But I think that
Right.
there is a reality that like we have to take care of our bodies. And if we want to go out and if you want to go out and play your best, you have to eat this food. It's not optional in order to perform well.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I'll say a lot there too. I'm like, okay, if you don't love the school lunch, like can you like get the school lunch, but then bring in something extra with you? Like, is it like cheese and cracker board or an Uncrustable or a drinkable yogurt? Or can you bring just at least something quick from home where you don't have to pack a lunch, but you're just bringing extra bonus snacks from home to round out lunch?
Yes. And I like that. Those little bonus snacks
Yeah.
are good.
Yeah.
So I also think we need to talk a little bit about staying hydrated during school because I think that that is very tricky. So
Mhm.
with hydration, do you have athletes that struggle with like hall passes or being allowed to go to the bathroom? And so then you're having a conversation around like, how do we stay hydrated during school?
Yeah. I think this is a big, like, first of all, they only have limited time between classes. Some teachers don't allow like free access to the bathroom, which is really hard. But as an athlete, as a student, we know keeping your brain hydrated is key. And then even if you have access to water and free will to go to the bathroom whenever you want to, forgetting to drink water is a big one. Like here, now backpacks have to be taken off and like put at the back of class. And so you don't really have access to your backpack all during class. So you could forget to grab your water bottle and now you don't have it. And I've had a bunch of athletes have this problem, or even if their backpack's right next to their seat, they forget. And so we've started habit stacking, meaning like, okay, if you need a pen class, put a rubber band on the outside of your water bottle and put your pen on that.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm like, you won't forget your water bottle because you need your pen. And
Yeah.
so when you pull out your pen, you're going to grab your water bottle. And just habit stacking that way, or just figuring out, that's just one example, but just different things. Like I had one athlete, they use all like laptops in class. I don't really use. And so I was like, okay, put a Post-it note in the middle of your screen that says grab your water. So when you open it, you can't see anything until you grab your water. And so we've just done things like that to encourage hydration when they forget. But remembering too, like we've talked about this a lot, but hydration doesn't always have to be water. So if you want to add some flavoring and if it's something you look forward to, you'll drink more water if it has flavor. Do that.
Yeah. I also had some kids tell me that they like have access to an ice maker at school.
That's cool.
Yeah. But also if you don't, my Stanley cup holds ice in it forever. Guessing a wall is due as well. Can we fill it up with a lot of ice? So then your water is really cold when you go to school to make it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. And lucky them for that.
Yeah. It was at a private school, so that might be why. But I was a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Also, I think when we're talking about going back to school, hydration isn't just about like during the school day. It's also making sure we're hydrating between school and practice, but also when you get home, making sure that you're continuing to drink liquids. Here in Kentucky, it's still the first month of school. It is still extremely hot. And we still have a lot of days where our temperatures are like right at the border of practicing with equipment on. And so I think remembering too, it's okay to add in some like electrolyte packets or having a Gatorade, you know, during the day for that extra sodium and for that extra kind of hydration to get you into practice as well. Do you ever talk with your athletes about kind of the timing of electrolytes or like starting early?
Yeah, yeah, and you kinda hit like, it just depends on how hot it's gonna be during like, if it's, like, a normal practice day, typically, like, a salty pre-workout snack or even a salty lunch, like a turkey sandwich or crackers is more than enough, but during those hot times, like, adding in electrolytes before and, like, filling up that electrolyte battery and making sure you're hydrated is key. Because a big thing to remember is, like, hydration's 3 components. It's fluids, electrolytes, and carbs, and so you need all 3, you can't just drink water, and so that's where a sports drink like Gatorade is the perfect combination, or doing a goldfish as a pre-workout snack can be really helpful with some water, or during practice, sipping on electrolytes if you wanna put them in your water, or going back to that sports drink, but I think it's just about strategically and figuring out what's comfortable for you. I was working with an athlete and her sister last week, and she's been relying on Gatorades, but they're training for 3 or 4 hours in the heat. And I was like, that's just not enough. Like, we've got to level up your pre-workout snack, your pre-workout meal, mid-training, and then recovery. Because she was like, I'm cramping so badly. And I was like, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to next week when we can kind of see how that outcome has been. I'm sure it's positive. We're adding more electrolytes because she was cramping really terribly and she has never cramped like that before. But this is the first time she's really trained at this intensity in the heat.
Yeah. And that is when those electrolyte packets are so beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that understanding when is the appropriate time to use these is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think too, not just kind of if some people don't like the electrolyte packets, you're really just honing in on sodium. That's the big one you lose in your sweat. And so sometimes, like this specific family I was working with last week, I said, okay, between games for like the weekend tournaments, or if you love to snack on watermelon, put a sprinkle of salt on there. You won't really taste it, but it'll help with hydration. And they're like, we could do that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So just little things to find balance. There's no right or wrong answer to anything.
Yeah. I think that balance is always going to be the key. So I think that kind of going back on kind of what we've hit on of just being intentional and finding that balance when it comes to working through the struggles of school is going to be like staying intentional to prep things ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Pack your snacks, have those balanced meals at lunchtime, prioritize your recovery, plan for those early mornings. Like all of those things are going to be key in making you be successful and helping you last the full day with your trainings. So thank you for joining us today for talking about back to school fueling. I hope you enjoyed it. We would love to hear back from you all. If there's anything that you would like to learn more about, then feel free to drop a comment and tell us how we're doing. Give us a 5-star review. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.